So you want to build a battlecruiser, a massive display of Terran ingenuity and firepower. Well, you can do it here in Starfield. No mods, just a whole lot of credits and a little bit of patience. I'm going to teach you how. At least I'll hopefully direct you the right way. But before we start, it'd be awesome if you could like and subscribe, because at the end, hopefully your brain won't have melted. And honestly, it's a little bit more of a test of patience than it is of experience or particular creativity. But we're going to break it down bit by bit. First, what do you need? You need an outpost with a shipbuilder. That's it. Built it all in one city in that outpost with the shipbuilder, which has almost all of the functional modules and many of the cosmetic ones. The individual manufacturers will have some special modules, which maybe at some point I might add, but you can do this all in one city at the shipbuilder. And now this is most important. You need to be rich. Like many things in life, having a lot more money made it a lot easier. Put it all together. Essentially, every part is the best money can buy. So about 500,000 credits is the total value here, though you probably shave a few thousand off. 500,000 is probably going to be your target. So if you're not there, you might want to look a little smaller. And this is already the smallest version of the Terran Battlecruiser. Unfortunately, there is no weapon that kind of equals the Yamato cannon from StarCraft and StarCraft 2, though I've substituted a missile launcher in a similar way. But otherwise, essentially it kind of looks, feels, and handles, which is a bit intentional, like a battlecruiser. And don't just take my word for it. I've found some pirates. Okay, I went to the Crick system where there are plenty of pirates. And before we start, take her out for a test drive. See what you're getting yourself into. Should probably power up the engines, eh? They don't like it when we show up. But that's not really my problem. So we got some particle beams, which are essentially auto turrets. We have some lasers as well, and of course that missile launcher, but the particle beams do most of the heavy lifting. I do find first person to be better for maneuvering using those thrusters. We could find a lot more maneuverability by making some adjustments. I'm going to go over in the guide. Oh, looks like we've cleared up the fleet for now. But there you go. And if you just want a quick look in space, I think it looks pretty good. So, let's jump on into the build guide, where I'm going to break it apart and then put it back together and tell you what things are most important, what things you've got to definitely look out for, and what things are probably really dealer's choice. So, thank you for tuning in. Once again, like and subscribe, and now I'll throw it over to me who's been patient enough in the shipbuilder to explain more. All right, here we are. We've taken her apart, and now we're going to put her back together in one sitting. And that's important. That is very important. Right now, if you're following along, go check your settings. Go check your perks. Don't get started. There is no saving. Until you clear all these red errors, as the good Lord Todd intended, you build your battlecruiser in one sitting, or you don't build it at all. There is no way to get out of this menu or even get to the settings menu, let alone save the game or anything like that. So I want to make sure that's a huge, massive disclaimer that has been very painful in the past. So let me take my pain and pass it on to your wisdom. So with that said, what I'd like to do is build the core systems out first. So that way you have something that ostensibly could fly, and you can slap together at a moment's notice if, you know, maybe you need to not sit in the shipbuilder for 90 minutes or more. So you're building a battlecruiser. I'm assuming you have all the credits that you could buy, borrow, beg, or steal, and money is no object. So just assume things are going to be expensive. The original one costs about 500,000 credits. So if you're not at least looking at being a millionaire in the near future, you might want to start a little smaller. But with that said, let's start with probably the most important thing, as it affects everything. We've got the reactor. The SF-40 sheared flow reactor. I have it in the front of the ship with the coloring there to kind of simulate a Yamato cannon. With more on weapons at the very end, as weapons are very end thing. This is a key point because the reactor is not its own individual system. So just because it's in the front doesn't mean it's going to blow up in your face. It's just counted as hull points. So it essentially is a cosmetic. It can go anywhere on your ship. And the sheared flow reactor here gives you 40 power. I don't know if that's with perks or not, but it's essentially the best reactor money can buy, at least from the shipbuilder at your outpost. So that can go wherever. I have it at the front. And then your engines. Important to note, again, all the other engines or engine-like things you see are cosmetic because you can only have 12 pips into engines in total. So here we've got 2 supernova engines and then 2 Dun 71s, which I think kind of have that more compact look I was going for. I originally went with 4 supernovas, but you got to be careful with the rounded kind of things, as while there are hardpoints to connect to, it is hard to kind of build around them because of the circular engines. The Dun 71s are much easier to stack things on, which is why I have them in that horizontal layout. So the Dun 71s are actually, for 144 mass, they give you more thrust than those big honking engines right next to them. So from a functionality standpoint, they're actually more efficient, as the supernovas are 333 mass, whereas the Dun engine is 144. Now, remember, we're going more for form over function here, which is why I didn't choose some technically more efficient ones, as let's be honest, it's kind of like your dad designing the Titanic to swim through a bit of a kiddie pool when it comes to space combat, but I want it to look as cool as possible and still functional. So you have essentially, and a battlecruiser should not be particularly maneuverable, so I am not unhappy with sacrificing the maneuverability. But these are all 4 engines. They give you 12 pips. If you wanted to add any more engines, let's say you add it over here, it will give you an error that you can't clear. Engine power usage. So you can't even add, even like the tiny engines. I kind of like that one. That one looks cool. Might make a design with that one. What was that? The Aim and Done engine. I got a nice little, kind of like a Saturn V look. Anyways, sorry. So you can't, all the other engine looking things are cosmetic. And let's go into that a little bit. So this is the Dun 71s right there. You've got the supernovas to the side, and below it, we have some fuel tanks, because these are one of the only few things that would kind of connect there. I thought we had some. Oh, these are connected over here. They're just kind of floating if I don't do that, as I took it apart. And then underneath, you've got landing gear. Now, the landing gear is definitely something you can slap on at the end. I've got it 3 down here, and then the end will go over that. Landing gear is more of a slap it on at the end. And then the grav drive out in front. I really like how the look ended up. But best grav drive... Wait, is it the best grav drive money can buy? This one is an NG340, which serves our purposes well enough. It clears the air of not having a grav drive with enough thrust. Having more fuel tanks helps with that. Honestly, this is wherever you can slap it, but the grav drive right in front of the engines, I think, gives it a cool look. So you've got the engines all stacked together. Landing gear can connect to the hard points underneath. We've got the Dymo's Wing E over here. I'm just going to be reading these off. I don't remember the names of any of them. I just kind of like to go through like, oh, what'll look good here. Which is how we got to most of this. Remember, you can use the arrow keys to find different variations of stuff too. Sometimes things don't quite adjust. I usually, unless there's a specific piece, will just add over out in the world. Because if you press attach, it will only give you what can actually fit there, which is good to be able to get something to add on. But maybe you find something you really like and it doesn't quite attach. You can maybe maneuver things around. So, just to repeat, we got 2 supernovas. We got a couple done 71s stacked vertically. We have the landing gear, and then you're going to see a lot of these. This is the Hope Tech nose. This is actually supposed to be like the face of the ship or something. I thought it looks cool because it kind of gives you... I really wish there were options for like running lights or something, which would really sell it. But what I like about these, and a lot of the cosmetics I picked, are that they have these little lights on them, which, especially in space, gives you the kind of the illusion. Illusions, Michael. The illusion of there being kind of like a crew, like a battlecruiser thing. You see it used up there as well. That's what I've picked. But I'm focusing on this compartment. And then we have the Shroud engine mount. It isn't actually critical in any way. It only attaches to the engine. But I thought it looked cool. And it really kind of fills out that battlecruiser look. And then the cargo block. So I want to make it clear right now. Almost any part of this could be replaced by either a structural component or even a hab as well. But it depends on how much cargo you want. I kind of just... Cargo has some of the highest mass of anything. The Galleon S204 cargo holds here. You get 1480 cargo mass, but for 300 mass. So that is, I'm competing with your mother on that one. So the cargo hold, but the convenient part of these ones, they come in rectangle shape. You got a full hardpoints on every side, which is very convenient for building kind of structurally and being functional. So here underneath we have, these are the Tayo cowlings, which I make a lot of use of. And then we have portholes. Nobody sees out of those portholes, but the portholes give you kind of the illusion of looking like that. So this is a cargo block here, and then these are another one of the galleons, the half-size ones, to kind of give some structure to it. So that way, and here's a tip, in order to select all of this, you press Control, you can add more to your selection group, and then if you Control and then double-click with enough FPS, ideally. I swear. Todd. There you go. Sometimes it doesn't like you. It's like printers, except worse. So there you go. You can select all of a group, which is kind of why I did it in compartments, so I could just, at this stage, can line it up. Now, of course, you're going to have to build each compartment or whatever by yourself. I usually build I kind of built it by compartments originally. That's been my favorite method of like doing new designs and stuff. But using the R and F keys to raise and lower rather than trying to move it around. The less you move around your camera or zoom in and out, I've found the less angry the shipbuilder gets at you. You don't want to anger the shipbuilder god, because remember, there's no leaving. Like and subscribe. So, we now have our engine block, such as it is. Let's add the fake bridge. To be clear, the cockpit is actually up here. And this is my most work in progress, just to be clear. I don't need to clarify it. We're making a cool battlecruiser in Starfield. All right, blows everything up. But the cockpit is up here because sometimes I like to go first person for actual like tougher combat. And I found that having it up here, well, one, you'd have to use a ladder to get up into it, which is a massive pain. Ladders, they work. It just works. But let's put a little pep in our step. Why don't we turn the ship to 0G so we can just float? Not important. That'd be so cool if you could do that. No. We're focusing on the positives here. Like making the bridge compartment. Now, I do have an equipment plate. Equipment plates here, I want to point out, are used. An equipment plate gives you a weapon hardpoint. That can be used anywhere. You can slap it on top of a hab, on a wing, whatever. If you have an equipment plate, you can slap a weapon on it. So that is the only kind of allusion to functionality here of the fake bridge. We have a Tayo cowling on the top, And then we flip it, the Z key, and we got one underneath. I want to take this time to talk about colors. So, at the end, I like to, whenever I add something that I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, the entire ship, black, all right? If you're going to add it to a color, from the default, just black. That's how I kind of see if a design works without looking weird because of different colors. But until you're finally like 95 to 99% done, don't mess with the colors. I'm just saving you frustration. Maybe if you want to test like one part, like I tested the reactor being able to turn like this color. You can't actually well, I can go right here. So notice the colors I'm currently using, they don't show up. If you X out of the shipbuilder, come back, just gotta guess. So, once again, we wait until the end. And then we do all the colors. And then, well, if you're going to want to do something, we're just going to have to figure it out from there. I lied. Color 2 is still locked in. But it's not saved in your recent colors. Important to note. So, but I might mess with this with parts like that, but structural parts, just black is my recommendation. It all comes in black until otherwise. So, but on the side here, we have Daimo's wings flipped. I like the little radiator look. These are Tayo end caps on starboard and port, which end up working out. And we got a Daimo's cowling over there. But this is all cosmetic, all kind of just looks cool and fits the general vibe. Kind of mixing and matching the producers, but, well, looks like I didn't actually. I took these off the selection. So we're gonna... yeah. I wanted to make sure each compartment was mostly like the same type of thing, whether it's like structural or cargo. So, but these ones go on top there. Just work our way down. I try not to move the mouse. I try to move it as little as possible because the shipbuilder is angry. You don't want to anger the shipbuilder. It makes your life very hard. Trust me. Alright, and then... there you go. Now that's jammed up. Now you got your whole engine block, your cargo space, and your bridge right there. Let's move that out of the way to get some perspective. I like to be careful. If things are getting crazy, you're probably really zoomed in with your mouse. That's what I found. So be careful just zooming in and then trying to back off because you'll still be zoomed in and the sensitivity will be insane. So that's not good. I'm gonna move this compartment forward. We're not there yet, but we're gonna move it forward just to get some space. So here, this is a companionway. Hab. So it's important this is a hab here. We're actually gonna move this out of the way. It's another fuel tank, which one I thought looked cool, and two, I needed more fuel to get to the outer systems. But this is where the landing bay will be connected to for this design. So important to note. By the way, on the Habs, they're kind of dealer's choice. I think you really have to just try it for yourself with the Habs. But I found the Hope Tech ones, they have kind of a gray interior. They look more like functional. The Stroud and the Tayo ones are all polished and like white, spotless design. The Hope Tech gives you a much more kind of like a expanse feel, which, as if you know me, you know I like. So it feels more of a actual Terran ship than the well-polished other designs. So for the actual interiors, I've liked the Hope Tech ones. But when it comes to compartments, we'll go a little over it, but the companionway is a fancy way of saying 1x1. Storage module doesn't give you storage, just what it looks like inside, unfortunately. So got another piece of cargo here. Could always switch that out with... am I lying about the... No, I'm not. Maybe I am. This might just be here for cosmetics. We'll see at the end. Honestly, that's how it planned out. There's no blueprints. We do it all live. And sometimes I forget if I wanted to have somewhere. This could easily be another cargo block. But it is what it is. And right now... Oh, it also has the Defender shield generator. I'm going to talk about shield generators for a sec. You only get one. You see... Oh, be careful. Oh, no. Okay. So when this happens... And it does happen. This is mental health tips here. Breathe. Okay. Press escape once. You're not going to delete it if you press escape twice, but it will bring up the exit tab, and that is very stressful. We're just going to zoom out because I was scrolling through the shields is why it was doing that. Okay, stop. Please, 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 please. Namaste. Namaste. Okay, well, we're just going to do attach. Nope. Okay, so I've angered the shipbuilder. I'm just going to put the pieces back on before we get out of control. Here's what I'm going to do. So anyways, the Defender Shield Generator. 1,500 max health. Thing cost me an arm and several legs, but that is what we have here. I think it's because we don't have... And then we put the fuel tank on top. Once again, mostly a cosmetic look there. And then, are we all connected? Oh, let's talk about this. The Nova Bracer, I think, makes it cool. Like, it also has hardpoints on every side, so that's a very functional cosmetic. As compared... Oh, and these are shielded cargo holds. Wow, I'm discovering new things. It's hard to remember, because remember, there's no designs. Shielded cargo holds on the side here. Shielded cargo holds for your, for whatever you need. For those, not that I'm not a law-abiding citizen, but every once in a while, you know. Also, I think they look cool. That's most of it, the shielded cargo holds here. So they hold 160 each. They got that kind of angular design. So those on the sides there are shielded cargo. Usually you shouldn't need more than like 100 to 200. Otherwise, like... You know what? Don't ask. I'm not going to ask. But if you need more than that shielded cargo, that's kind of impressive, to be honest. Like, all right, let's bring it down and put it together. I believe line it up with there. You do have options. Usually I just like to try different ones. I believe dead center is where we're going. Yeah, it lines up. And there you go. Lines up with those like engine mounts. Gives you the kind of neck-ish look the Battlecruiser has going. But there you go. Engine blocks. You know what? We're going to slap on the wing bits now. So here we are. Besides the fuel tanks, this is entirely cosmetic. The wing bracers, such as they are. Though it has some interesting parts that I've considered using. I've used in other ships. You've got... So the hardest part was finding something that could connect. I'm just going to connect this one to show it works. There you go. The hardest part is finding something that connects well with the round engines, which we were able to do here by having... just take the pieces off for a sec. You can also see the names of them when I'm hovering over, but the shroud nose cap. This is mostly used, it's supposed to be like the front where you put weapons, but I've flipped it over. All right, shipbuilder, don't get angry. Don't get angry. Looking at things from below. This is why landing gear is the hardest part. Trying to look below. Anyways, so I've flipped over the nose cap, and that actually gives you, I noticed, flat hardpoints conveniently, and a side hardpoint that can connect. So behind it, we've got the Hope Tech nose aft here. I'm not sure you have a nose aft, but don't question it. And then landing gear is strapped to it as well, underneath. So, and then at the very front, these ones, I really like the look. The Deimos braking engine. No, not an actual engine, but fake engines here. I hope at one point we are able, something mods, but to have actual braking engines, but it is just a look. But it isn't structural, as it isn't, to be clear, a real engine. And then we've got the four cowlings, or the Tayo cowlings, as well. And these ones, Tayo mid-caps. Flipped around a bit, and then attached together to kind of give you that look. This is the hardest part. Honestly, I'm still not super happy with it. This and the wing. There aren't too many designs I've found that really are too equivalent to what, in my mind, is the StarCraft 2 Battlecruiser. I mean, I was referencing some images and stuff during it, but the simple version is the Battlecruiser in StarCraft 2 is supposed to be this massive capital ship that never touches the ground, has never even smelled grass, whereas I have to land this thing on a planet. So corners have to be cut, quite literally in many cases. And now attached to it, we have the Stroud Cowling 3LA. starboard. Here on, the starboard side. And that, there you go. I believe we go about that far up. Yep. But there's a few pieces on that as well. We got landing gear. We have the Tayo cowling, which gives you... I'm mostly using these for the illusion of those running lights. And maybe windows or whatever. Daimo's braking engine underneath there. Alright, shipbuilder. Do not smite me. Yeah, we've got 2 of those underneath. But those pieces are quite useful. I think it gives the idea of, like, instead of just guns, because you're kind of limited in that, you've got the maneuvering engines, because you're a little bit slimmer than your average massive battlecruiser. But yeah, you got the braking engine down there. Shipbuilder, please. Be patient. Be patient. And you've got it underneath as well. You can see it on the landing pad when you back out as well. On the back, I have the tail, and then I've mounted a particle beam auto turret, the auto alpha turret, which does a whole hunk of damage. But we'll talk about weapons at the end, because weapons are very dealer's choice. There is no Yamato cannon in the game, which I know is going to be a very popular comment. I've found missiles to be the closest thing with the closest effect and look, but it's not really that close, unfortunately. So, now both sides, these are identical, so we're just going to put them together. There you go. And then control click. All right. What do we have here? I think we got to talk about the Hab section here first. Let me go ahead, add this back on here. So, these are, besides some landing gear underneath, 1, 2, 3 pieces, these are all Habs. Here we have the control station, which allows you to get more crew stations, which is actually functional. We have living quarters over here. We have the cockpit, the daimyo enhanced. I like this one, because one, it doesn't look too silly. You got a few options. Honestly, I've been looking at the bridge from Stroud, but for cockpits, you have to go to the manufacturers. So I tried to build this all in the shipbuilder, but eventually I might upgrade things. But the cockpit, honestly, is more of a dealer's choice. This one also fits in a smaller space. And because it isn't so obvious, it kind of maintains the illusion of the bridge being up there. But it's strapped on. And another point is, most of my key Habs here are on the same plane. I hate ladders. That hasn't stopped me from adding more 1x1 Habs. These could be 2x2s. I think I just slapped them on just for structural. Another key point is Habs are very low mass. 5 mass apiece. Large ones, 8 mass. It's pretty intentional, as like this nose cap thing I'm using over here is 8 mass as well. So clearly the intent is to build a bunch of Habs, make your ship feel larger. There's not a big cost when it comes to... in fact, Habs give you a slight amount of hull points. Not much, 5. But whereas structural parts do not, I think, at all, at any point. So it is technically better to build... Not that the amount of hull points is meaningful in any way, really. Most of your hull... Actually, where does your hull come from? I've never looked at this. Where does 1523 hull come from? I'm not sure where we get these numbers. Maybe just mass. Oh, the reactor is 1300. Wow, okay. Well, there you go. Another reason to get the big... don't skimp on the reactor. Anyway, so these are all Hab sections. I've managed to find some places for portholes on the side, which, if you're ever actually walking around in space, looks pretty cool. These portholes are also functional. You can look out of them. I think we'll do a quick walk around at the end. Or maybe I've already done it. I don't know how we're going to edit this together, Jimmy. We got more of those Hope Tech noses in the front, kind of maintaining that illusion. And then, to give you kind of the weapon mounts on the sides, here we have nose caps. Not on the nose, but I've stacked them together. And you can just strap weapons to the side, which gives you a pretty decent range of fire as well with the auto turrets. And it is relevant, because the auto turrets do not need to see targets. They will fire off to the side, front, sometimes to the back. You can place turrets facing the back, but the direction they're facing is relevant. But again, we can just slap those on. Whatever looks good to you. Doesn't matter too much there. Oh yeah, those are Hope Tech Habs, and then these are the Stroud kind of nose caps, or so they say here. But honestly, for most of this, I go over, I'm like, oh, all right, scroll through, see what looks good. Flip it around a few times if you got the opportunity, or if it doesn't look perfect, yeah, flip it around, give it a shot. But yeah, honestly, I have no idea if these were higher up or not. We'll see when we're done. Easy enough. All right, and now we bring the reactor. I kind of built all this around this part, because you know the Battlecruiser has the key part there, right up in the front. And then, last-ish but not least, we have kind of the what is it, the stern? No, that's the bow. I'm sorry. Anyways, the top part. I've used, this doesn't have to be cargo space. I went with cargo space. It could be a hab. These are all habs as well. Technically, you can go up into them. And then, at the front, some of those Tayo cowlings. So, we got all those. And this is something I definitely messed with a lot. And then we have equipment plates. Oh no. Control Z does undo, but it stresses me out so much every time. Because the ship just kind of flickers in that case. Alright, I'm just moving this out. At some point, some of these things, like especially the small things, are sometimes easier to just delete and put right back down. As long as you just installed them on this round, you don't lose credits. It's only if you delete something and then try to rebuild it later, it will cost you. But that's something you learn painfully usually. Remember, no pores building battlecruisers. If you're trying to scrap together enough credits, then maybe a battlecruiser isn't for you. Okay, you see what I've done? See why it's not working? Notice on the right side, minus 25. I need to actually move my camera up because I'm no longer able to go down far enough. This is one of those I've angered the shipbuilder. But now I should be able to drop down and... yeah. When you get used to it, you don't like it, but you get used to it. Makes it a little less painful. Alright, there you go. Strap. Now this is an Atlas missile launcher. This is what I use as closest to a Yamato cannon. The rest, this is a Scorch pulse laser turret. Honestly, I'm not huge on the laser turrets, but they're pretty nice. And because of the way weapons work, which I think I'm going to talk about weapons at this time before I do the last part. The way it works, in case you don't know, is you get 3 weapon groups, which is very relevant. Because you can only have 12 power on a weapon group. Which, it doesn't really matter too much if you're, it doesn't really matter too much if you're using a level 1 class A weapon or the, literally the most expensive or largest weapons. It's 3 or 4 power. So essentially you can only have 3 to 4 weapons of one type. No matter, even if your reactor had 50 power. You could only power 12 pips by default. So, what that means is you need 3, you can have up to 3 different types of weapons, and that's the max. And it doesn't have to be 3 different types like particle beams, which are good all around, missiles, ballistics, or lasers. Those are the 4 main types. I don't know if there are. Oh, and electromagnetic, which I don't mess around too much with. I don't bother boarding anymore. What am I going to do? Take their ship? Look at what I have. Anyways. But yeah. So, having 3 different types of weapons is probably the optimal, assuming you have the power. And with this reactor, usually what I do is I take power out of engines, grav drive, of course. I'm not going anywhere. And then power up the rest. So, 3 different types of weapons, even if they are similar, is how it works. And where you mount them does matter, because manually controlled weapons can only go to your targeting reticle. I don't know how much that one matters where you mount it. Like, I don't know if you face a laser backwards, it can fire forward. I haven't really tested that. But I have these off to the side, so the idea is with the lasers, is as ships go by, the lasers can fire on them, because they only have 1,500 range, which is relatively short compared to the 3,000 of the particle beams, which are more of a big DPS option, or the missile launcher, which has 4,000 range, but only begins locking on around 2,000, which is a bit annoying, but you can dumbfire it if you like. But the only actual active weapon is the missile launcher. All right, let's get this finished up here. We got those Taio cowlings. Honestly, not too many small structural components. I found it really frustrating to work with, those small bits. So I've tried to keep it relatively large here. Which reminds me of one bit I didn't talk about, which is the Hope Tech cap at the back. For the engines is how I kind of built this group off of. I thought that looked pretty good. I don't think it would have to be that. You could also put another compartment, but that splits it up a bit. But I remember missing something, so. All right. Now these are all strapped together. Control click, control double click, and there you go. All right. Something's missing. We'll figure that out momentarily. It's like everything's on the same plane. Ah, I know why. Here it is. See, there's things you figure out. Do it live. Honestly, putting this together taught me a lot about, well, the different versions of it. Taught me a lot about the shipbuilder and its limitations. It is quite extensive for what you get. You get like 90% of the modules and most of the functional ones in the outpost shipbuilder, but some of the cockpits and stuff you do need to go on over, unless you're using a mod or something. Well, it all fits together. I'm not sure that's entirely right. Oh, I think I might have connected some other things, but there you go. Yes, that's right. And also, you know what? Even if it's not right, Theseus is Battlecruiser, right? So, and now for the most difficult part. Now this is the part where you're going to need all that patience you've banked up. Okay? The landing gear. Because now, maybe somebody else has a way better trick. Now you got to go beneath. And the landing gear, I have... Because I think the landing gear looks kind of ugly. We're using the AccuLander 11, which has 2 lander thrust. There's not too many options for landing gear below in this scenario. Just the Hope 5 and the AccuLander. And this one has 2 lander thrust as opposed to 1. So that's what I went with. And I think you can kind of line them up however you want. A lot of the design is intended to give some space for the landers with like the straight hard points underneath. We've got 3 down the middle, 3 under the engines, and then 3 on each wing. Nice symmetrical. It doesn't like it if you don't quite do that. Though I believe you can potentially put it all. Like you make some crazy designs. Now most importantly, it's got to line up with the landing bay. So we're going to slap that in. There you go. Which, yes. So this companionway is not superficial. I just kind of unattached it. There you go. Landing bay goes down there. This extender Docker module is quite convenient because it doesn't actually need to be like on the outside. It will extend as you would expect a docking module to do far enough. Even though the Battlecruiser is larger than most of the stations or whatever, or ships you'll dock with, still, you do require it. So you can put that right there. This one, it goes about 2 range. And there you go. We've cleared all the warnings. Just like that. Little clock on the wall says we're almost out of time, but... and this is where I'd probably select the whole thing. I'd go with the colors. which I'm not going to do now because I've already customized some of the specific colors and I would rather not go through that process again. But this is where I'd change it from black to, like here we got like a crimson. It's not the Crimson Fleet, it's the Dominion, all right? I blow the Crimson Fleet out of the sky. But there you go. Set up those, it'll give you those setting up weapon group issue. We're going to ignore the low mass thing. That's intentional. You can switch out if you do want the most highly mobile battlecruiser. Just switch out some of that cargo. If you're not doing outpost stuff, you're going to be hard pressed to fill up 13,000 cargo. I'm sure you could find some space to strap some more on as well. Definitely could. I could definitely see this being 2025 and still have something resembling mobility. 14 mobility is still surprisingly effective, but yeah, we've got our weapon groups set up there. And, well, all right. Insufficient funds. Okay, so I think I deleted one or two things before we started. And apparently the vendor is significantly more poor than me. I don't know why they're charging me at my own shipbuilder. Anyways, except. Always scary. Always a brave moment. But, and there you go. I usually like to get close to finishing, make sure everything works, save, and then. But, let's take a look. Unfortunately, it's nighttime out here on wherever barren rock this is. Oh my god, I broke my ankle. And there you go. I think it looks beautiful. And this part, Jimmy will edit in some beautiful combat footage. But I hope you enjoyed this meat and potatoes part of the Battlecruiser build. I hope you didn't skip too far forward to the point where you have no idea what's going on. Just knowing that the key parts are settle in, be patient, and test other things. Remember, you can flip stuff around. You got variants, all that. But you know what? We'll do it live, so that way I can prove. I don't need to prove anything, but that way you can see. Just take it, take off, maybe come in the side, the landing gear. I'm just gonna die that. Just because I've been staring at that console for half an hour. Oh, there you go. Get onto the ship. These are those Hope Tech compartments here. You got the little portholes out the side. And then you want to go into these side groups. Got those little portholes. Up there, you got those other Habs. See out those portholes. And you have, if you want it, the workbenches here in your RV. And of course, I don't know what they're doing in here, but I don't know how they got in here. I've tried to move out the chairs. There's always 3 chairs. But let's take a first spin. So if you want to test your combat, now I'm not sure if you can do this if you've already done the Crimson Fleet storyline, but around the Crix system is where you can find plenty of pirates that I like to test out my ship on. So that's what we're going to do. Real quick, backing off, and then, so I've noticed that the enemies do scale to your level. Not to the extent that they're super dangerous if you have the right equipment, but okay, let's make sure we got all points and shields. Everything left over goes into engines. Now weapons fully covered. Let's see if the pirates are excited to have me here today. Alright, locking on. Gonna use that right click for a missile. I didn't wait till the lock, but we got one. There's a level 72. Usually if you see it, ideally take out the strongest ships first. As if those get a broadside on you, it's going to be a bad time. So. Yep, got hit hard. I missed the missiles, which can happen if they go fast enough. Throwing some repairs on. For reference, I'm level 70, so that ship actually, they leveled pretty hard. This is a great test, though. I love going around. And also, you can find some new ship parts, all that. Usually once you deal with it. And then you got your first-person option. I don't find using the targeting system. I barely have any points and perks as well. But
Target sitting there with no brav drive now.
looks like we cleared them out. But I found it to be a pretty good test, because even for this ship, we are on... Oh, yeah. We are on the hard difficulty, which I find is a good balance. On the ground, it's a little easy, but in space, the damage multipliers are quite rough, so... But I should be able to pick up enough that there'll be ship parts around. And there you go. It just works. And, of course, you could tweak it and all that. But I do hope this was useful. I hope it was helpful. I hope your fleet will be called in and operational. And let me know. I have no idea how to do these. I know this ran a little long, but it's not the least complicated thing. What things did you want to know that I completely missed? And what things do you think could be added? Either way. Thank you for watching. Good luck in the Starfield. I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, all that. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.